Alright, front brakes. Just had these off because I did a whole bunch of front end work on this. Tried to fix a bunch of stuff. But I knew it needed front brakes, so parts are in. We're going to pull this apart and just do front brakes on it. And I'll show you what I found, or what I think I found, as I go. These are 14 millimeter. I'm going to take a screwdriver in, pry the piston, push the piston back in just a little bit if we can. Try to. Should be able to. Yeah. Just to loosen it up on the rotor so it'll move, come off of there easier. Let me find my 14. I think it's 14. Isn't it? It is. Brake line's kind of in the way there. Not too bad there. Pull that off. Okay. Hopefully the lighting's okay. I'm trying to give you some decent lighting. Kind of do a different angle going from the inside right now. Just show you all this stuff first. Just peel that off. The pad's coming off easy. And we'll set. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm saying. We'll do something. I don't know what, but we'll do something. Well, I have my wrench with me, but these are 17 millimeters. We're going to pull that bracket off. Let me go find my wrench. Break these loose. Hopefully without too much problem here. Not too bad. Like I said, I had these off already. You can tell, I could see this bracket. I painted this bracket when I had it off before. Figured I had it off and it was going to be a couple days. Just shut my light off for you. There you go. Try to keep you in the dark. And painted it. Rotor. Okay, now that I turn my camera on, so normally what I would do, and I just had these out about a week ago because I was doing all the front work. You can see it's painted, so it was apart for a couple days, so I cleaned it up and painted it. I would pull the hardware, go behind here with a file and Scotch-Brite or something, clean any of the corrosion out of there, make sure it's nice and clean. I use a wire wheel. If the rust is really bad, you have to get it out of there with a file. And then replace the hardware. Grease behind the hardware, I use Permatic Ceramic Extreme. Brake grease, put the new hardware on. Always replace your hardware, it's cheap, and your pads will work better. They'll just last longer. You'll be happy you did it. It's a couple dollars if you had to buy them. Most good pads will come with it. Same thing on the other end. Grease behind where the hardware goes. I don't put grease on top of the hardware. It's always a big point of debate with people. You do it how you want to do it. Stainless steel hardware, so it shouldn't rust if it's good hardware. Don't need grease. The grease is only there to keep the moisture out and keep corrosion from starting. That's why it's there. And around where I am, that's a big deal. I have a rotor. Show you my part here, part number. Oh, I didn't even tear it in half. Right there. Raybestos Element 3, that's what I like, fully coated rotor. If you have a dual piston, that's your part number. I have a dual piston caliper. Fully coated rotors. Just stick the new one on there. I've greased that hub already. Like I said, I was in here a week ago and I greased it a week ago. High temp grease, just a little bit. Just keeps it from rusting and sticking to it. I'll stick that one's no good. We'll use that one. Find a better one here. That would be a little better product. Just get this, temporarily put a lug on there, lug nut. Alright, we can put our bracket back on now. Let me get some Loctite. I do not know the torque spec for these. The bolts that mount to the knuckle, which I showed earlier, taken off. I'm just going to put them back on now. They have to be tight. They're a pretty good sized bolt. I don't know what the torque spec is. If you really want to know, you can look it up and torque them. I'm just going to make them tight. I'm not going to crush them, but I'm going to make them tight. Okay. Let's see if I can do this right the first time. I think so. Just slide them back in. I know you can't see me putting them on there. You saw me take them off. Same thing, just putting them back together. Line it up and put it in. Now line it up first. I still don't have it lined up. Still missed it. Come on. Wow, it's going to give me that much grief. It really is. Try the bottom first. Got the bottom started. It's knocking my hardware all over the place. I'm getting grease all over everything. It's amateur hour here. A rag. Clean that off of there. I won't want that on there. Get the rest of that off of there too. Like I said, amateur hour. Okay. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Can you even see? Yeah, I guess you can. You really can't see me putting the bolt in, but you can at least see what I'm working on. This is the way my night's been going. Sometimes it goes like that. Sometimes it does. Like I said, this is the way it's been going. Dropping everything. You gonna stick this time? Thank you. Light up here. 3 times. Just make sure they're tight. Don't go nuts on them, but they got to be tight. I'm not even going to do that because I know I'm just going to knock that off of there again. One more time for fun. Let's try not to do that. I just dropped it again. Beautiful. Wow. I'm having a good night tonight. Half an hour later. You're a little worn, aren't you? Sure. Let me go get a 6-point. That bolt's a little worn, rusted. All right. See if I can drop this a couple more times. Okay. Yeah, it's a little rounded. Nothing a 6-point won't fix. Get my hardware back in place here. Get it where it's supposed to be. Get this back on where it's supposed to be. There's brake pads that go along with the element 3. There's the part number. So I don't usually have a problem with the hardware that comes with these, but I got so fed up with it, literally about half an hour of trying to get these pads in with the new hardware, that I got the old hardware back out, which is still in really good shape, and I put the new hardware in there, and it took me 5 seconds, and they're in there. something's wrong with the new hardware on this side. I don't know what it is, but there's definitely a problem with it, and I'm done with it. The old one's cleaned up, stainless steel, it'll work fine. Really aggravating. You usually do not have a problem with it, but I'll tell you, something's not right with that hardware. I had to fight it for that long. No reason for that. So I want to come in here to this caliper. I want to clean the face of these pistons, get any corrosion. I want to clean the back of these tabs. I've already done this. I did this a week ago, so they're already cleaned, but you can use emery cloth, sandpaper. I use a cookie wheel if I need to. You just want to get any corrosion out of there, and then you want to grease the face of the piston and the back of these tabs, inside of these tabs, which ride against the back of the pad. Once again, it's corrosion. You want to keep corrosion out of there, keep it from pushing the pads around. And I almost did it again. I've got to push those pistons back in. I always do that. Let me get my brake tool, which I'll probably hunt for half an hour. It's the way things are going tonight. There it is. Not quite that long. I use an old brake pad, stick it in there. You can use a C-clamp or a big pair of channel locks. This is dual piston, so just push them. They should go in pretty easy. I have my thumb on the one that's on my left side because I'm pushing against the one on the right side more, so I'm pushing this one in as I go. And I might have to switch it and move the tool to the other side here for a little bit. Hold that one in. Should go in pretty easy, but you have to push them back in so you can get them over the pads. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Just not going to work. Alright, you do want to check your master cylinder. If it's full right to the top, you may want to take some fluid out of it before you do this. They don't overflow it. They're pushed back in. Now I'll grease them again, since I kind of started to do it before. Grease the face of the piston. Pistons, in this case, there's two of them. I'm looking right into the light, of course, so I'm blinding you. And then the back of these, inside of these tabs. Get thin coat of grease on that. It has to be great grease, okay? Otherwise it'll just melt out of there on you. Okay. Alright, now we're ready. We're almost there. We're almost there. Famous last words. Make sure you don't twist your brake line when you're putting it back. Slide it down into place. Get that down there. Slide it into place like that. Let me find my bolts. Fit them with them. There's a slot. There's a flat slot on the end of the slide pin. Here, make sure that lines up, and you get it lined up so it goes in there correctly. Lines up with the caliper. The top one started. We'll do the same thing on the bottom. Sure it's lined up. Get the bottom one started. Alright, I can just run these in. Turn my gun down a little bit. These don't have to be brutally. Sort of snug them up. Come on, get on here. Do have my gun turned down, don't freak out. I'm not crushing them. Alright, that was it. Had a lot of fun with that hardware. Really aggravated me. Don't know why, what the deal with that hardware was, but it was definitely giving me a problem. That's pretty much it. Not too hard, except for that hardware. Alright. Always grease behind the hardware, always replace the hardware. In this case, I ended up not replacing it, but the hardware that came off, I cleaned it up. And it's stainless steel, it's not rusted or anything. I cleaned it up really good and reused it because I had such a hard time with this hardware. This was aggravating me, and something's not right with it, so I'm not going to use it. But other than that, you should always replace the hardware. Just ask for trouble if you don't. We'll put the wheel back on, and that's it for this. I don't even know if this is going to turn out anymore. This has been a night, I will say that. We'll see. Pretty easy. Shouldn't take you as long as it took me. It took me longer to mess with that hardware than to do everything else. But it's done. So one last thing I didn't say. You need to go out when you get in, pump your brake pedal till it gets firm, or you get a scary moment. Then you need to go bed these. You need to bed the pads to the rotor. Do that by going out, driving it up to about 40, 60 miles an hour, slowing down pretty aggressively to 10, 15 miles an hour. Don't come to a complete stop. Repeat that 2 or 3 times. Drive it for a little bit, let it cool down, and just keep repeating that cycle maybe 6, 8, 10 times. That allows the pads to bed themselves to the rotor so they work correctly. You want to do that when you change your pads and when you change your rotors. Well, that's it for the front brakes in this 98 Outback. For some reason, I use that Raybestos Element 3 rotors and hardware all the time. Never had an issue. Something was wrong with this hardware. I ended up getting the old hardware back after fighting with the one side for about half an hour. Could not figure out, there's just something not right with that hardware. And the old hardware was in good shape. I just cleaned it up, stainless steel, and reused it, and it was a night and day difference. I don't know what it is for this particular application, but that hardware is off enough that, man, it was just, literally it took me longer trying to get the pads in there than to do the rest of the job. But it's done. I haven't driven it yet because I'm blocked in by another car right now, but I will do that tomorrow. We'll go out and bed the pads and make sure that everything's okay. We don't have any issues, but if you have to do this for your late 90s Legacy Outback, I hope it helps you out. If you like the videos, subscribe below. Thanks for watching.